the reflection in the well. Have you ever felt like you were pouring your entire soul into a well, only to hear no splash? You stand at the edge, offering your kindness, your patience, and your deepest love, waiting for a sign that it has reached the bottom. But the silence that returns is deafening. This is the reality of living in the orbit of a narcissist. It is a world where gravity works differently. Everything pulls toward one single point: their needs, their image, their pain. And you, perhaps without even realizing it, have become a satellite, circling a sun that gives no warmth, a blinding light that demands you look nowhere else. To those of you listening who feel exhausted, who feel as though you have been erased by the demands of another, I hear you. This space is for you. We are not here to dwell in bitterness, but to walk through the fog, to find a solid ground that was always beneath your feet, even when you were told it didn't exist. The architecture of the void. We often use the word narcissist as an insult. But if we look closer, with the eyes of a philosopher and the heart of a healer, we see a profound tragedy. A narcissist is like a bucket with a hole in the bottom. No matter how much admiration, love, or sacrifice you pour in, they remain empty. They are trapped in a relentless hunger because they cannot generate self-worth from within. They must consume it from the outside. They don't see you as a separate human being with your own dreams and fears. They see you as a mirror. If the mirror reflects back a perfect image, they are content for a moment. But the moment the mirror shows a flaw, or worse, the moment the mirror tries to have a life of its own, they must break it. If you grew up in this shadow, perhaps with a parent whose love felt like a conditional contract, you learned early on that your value was tied to your utility. You became an expert at reading the air in the room. You learned to silence your own heartbeat so you wouldn't disturb theirs. You were not just a child. You were a guardian of someone else's fragile ego. The ghost of the mother. There is a specific kind of grief that comes from being raised by a narcissistic mother. The person who was supposed to be your first window into the world was instead a wall. When a mother suffers from the deep fragmentation of a personality disorder, the child is forced to grow up in a state of hyper-vigilance. You didn't learn who you were. You learned who she needed you to be. You became the emotional caretaker of the person who was meant to care for you. Perhaps she is gone now. Perhaps the house is quiet. But the voice remains, doesn't it? That inner critic that whispers you aren't doing enough, that you are selfish for having needs, that you must be perfect to be safe. Understand this. The mother you are trying to please was never a person you could satisfy. She was a projection of her own unresolved trauma. You were never the problem. You were just the one standing closest to the fire. It is okay to let go of the burden of her expectations. You have carried them long enough. Wu Wei and the Art of Letting Go. In Eastern philosophy, there is the concept of Wu Wei, effortless action. It is the art of sailing, rather than rowing against the current. For years, you have been rowing. You have been working so hard to fix the relationship, to explain your feelings, to make them understand. But you cannot explain color to someone who has chosen to keep their eyes shut. The most powerful thing you can do, the most radical act of self-love, is to stop. Stop explaining. Stop defending. Stop hoping that this time they will finally see you. When you stop pouring into the leaky bucket, you finally have enough water to nourish your own parched soul. This isn't an act of cruelty. It is an act of clarity. You are not the labels they put on you. You are not difficult, ungrateful, or too sensitive. You are the vast, quiet awareness that observes these labels and knows they are not true. The narcissist lives entirely in the world of form and image. They are obsessed with the I. I am the best. I am the victim. I am the center. To heal, we must move in the opposite direction. We must find the now. In the present moment, there is no narcissist. There is only the breath. There is only the sound of the wind, the feel of the chair beneath you, the quiet pulse of life in your fingertips. The trauma of the past lives in your thoughts, but your freedom lives in your presence. When you drop the story of what they did to you, you become light. You become the sky. And they are just a cloud that passed through. The gift of the broken. There is a strange beauty in having been broken, like kintsugi, the Japanese art of repairing broken pottery with gold. Your scars make you more resilient and more beautiful, because you had to survive a world without empathy. you developed a profound capacity for it. You know the value of a kind word because you lived without them. You know the importance of truth because you lived in a house of mirrors. Your struggle was not in vain, but the healing only begins when you realize you no longer need their permission to exist. You are here. You are whole. You are enough, exactly as you are, walking into the light. As you move forward, remember that recovery is not a straight line. There will be days when the old guilt returns, when the leaky bucket calls out to be filled again. When those days come, breathe. Return to the center. Remember that you are not responsible for the happiness of someone who refuses to be happy. Your only responsibility is to your own light. You are the resonance of the universe, experiencing itself. Do not let a ghost from your past silence your song. Rest now. The battle is over. You are safe. You are home.